Hello angels, and welcome back to my channel. It is TheyNatural, and I'm back with another video to help you live your blessed life in the most frugal way possible. If you haven't taken the time to, please subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on my weekly videos. This content is crafted for my Chebe angels, those who have been following along with this series. If you haven't, welcome. If this is not your first time gracing my channel, welcome back. As you can see from the title, I'm going to be comparing the traditional application method with this new tea oil application I've been using. I'm going to be listing off the pros of each of these applications and give you all my insights. So if you want to see more about that, go ahead and keep on watching. Yep, I do DIY, natural hair, mommy and me, lifestyle content. I do it all. Okay, getting right into this content, I've noticed when I rewatch my videos, yes, I watch my own videos often just to see if there's anything I'm missing, and I realized I didn't ever give you all a detailed what is Chebe kind of background introduction. So I got some notes to kind of go over what is Chebe. Okay, so getting right into it, what is Chebe? Chebe is a powder, mostly sold in a powder form. It's the mix of herbs and other things. Some people refer to it as a concoction that is used for natural hair growth. It comes from the Chebe plant. It has a different name, but I'm not going to butcher it here on this channel. If you look up Chebe, you can see the name of the actual plant it comes from. But the plant gives off these little, it's not fruit, it's called croutons. It's not really a seed either, but the main ingredient is the croutons from that plant. They break it down and add other plants to it. So there's like plants and seeds and oils and cloves, a whole bunch of good 100% natural products combined. Of course, I'm not going to list off the actual names because a lot of these names are derived in Africa, so I don't even know how to get into pronunciation, but they're all mixed depending on which tribe is preparing them. They're mixed with different ingredients, but that main ingredient is going to be your Chebe, and they're roasted over a fire. That's why it gives off that kind of a roasted, kind of a baked smell. If you've ever smelled Chebe, that's why, because it's prepared over fire. And then we get this beautiful, magical concoction called Chebe powder. So if you haven't been keeping up with my videos, the application of the traditional Chebe is exclusively the powder with oil and then also a moisturizer. Now the oil and tea I've been using in my hair is kind of extracted from the actual powder to make the ease of application just go a little bit more smoother, a little bit less mess. I'm getting into sort of the pros and cons of why I've been using the tea versus the traditional method. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it. Now in the cards, I'll put the video of me giving the pros and cons of the traditional Chebe when I first experimented with it. So this is kind of reiterating everything I stated in that video. So the first pro, and the main reason that I was so happy with my initial application of Chebe, is because the moisture that is going to be in your hair. For some reason, when you put the Chebe powder in your hair, braid it into your hair as the traditional application method calls for, the moisture that stays in your hair in between application is so unreal, so unlike any other product that I've experimented with. And that is something that I believe 4C girls all over struggle with, is keeping our curls moisturized, keeping moisture in our hair. So that is the #1 pro for Chebe powder for me. of course, my second pro is going to be the length retention that I get from using Chebe powder. Now, I can't really speak on how fast my hair grows. This is something that's still up for debate, okay? That depends on how well I'm eating, how well I'm taking care of my hair, how often I am refreshing in between applications and all that good stuff. But the retention that I kept when I was using the traditional Chebe powder was about an inch every 20 days. So that's more than average, because on average we grow about an inch and a half every month. So to get an inch in 20 days is just like really good for me. So that's something you would have to test out to see if you get that same effect. But that's of course why people really started to use Chebe, is because it helps their hair stop breaking. And that also is due to the first reason, because the moisture is in your hair, of course, it's not drying out as much. The breakage is not happening as much because your hair is moisturized, it has elasticity, and it just retains the length because of that. Now, my third pro for using the traditional Chebe method is going to be, it helps my hair stay detangled, okay? Because you're keeping it in braids, which often is the case. If I wear my hair in braids, I don't have to worry about my hair getting tangled, because it's never going to tangle in braids. That's why braiding your hair, wearing it in braids, protective styling it in braids is often sought after, because you don't have to worry about your hair getting tangled. But this is something that's very good with the Chebe, because the moisture is there. Whenever I would take down my braids, it literally would just like fall apart. I don't have to worry about tangles at all. I mean, it would just unravel, not fall apart, but it would unravel easily, not worrying about any tangles at all. So that was another huge pro for me. And then the last pro of using the traditional method is it builds routine. You don't want to leave the powder in your hair for more than 5 days. So knowing that and keeping that in the back of your mind kind of helps you build routine, because you're like, oh, I have to refresh this. And it's a messy process, but it's something that kept me on my toes. So speaking of mess, is going to be leading into my cons for why the traditional method isn't so good, okay? The mess was the big number one con for me. The one thing that really stopped me from using it for now, okay? The pros, we have that, but the con of the mess and having to clean up, and just really it gets everywhere, and you have to worry about the oils, and then the powder is spreading all over the room. You have to clean that up. That's a huge con, okay? And then some people talked about the smell. I didn't really mind the smell. It gives me like a earthy type of smell. I think it mixed well with my pheromones. I didn't mind it, so, but some people said the smell was also a huge con for them. So smell is also on the list. Now, another thing that is going to distract from using the traditional Chebe method is going to be the limited styling option. You don't have option when it comes to the Chebe powder. You have to braid it in your hair for it to stay in your hair and serve the purpose that it's meant to serve, okay? So you're limited on how you can wear your hair. You can braid it with synthetic hair or other protective styling methods, because you have to often refresh it. So braiding synthetic hair in with the Chebe powder is not really an option, because you don't want to have to take down your hair every 3 to 5 days. If you spend the time braiding long braids or adding hair into your hair, nobody wants to go and take down their hair every time it's time to refresh. Even though there is a way to do so, I just haven't found out how people do that. I don't know if they just layered it on top. It's just not something that I am able to do at this time. So that could not always be a con once I experiment more with it, but as of now it is not it's a negative thing for Chebe the traditional way. And the last is, kind of goes without saying, it's time consuming, just because of the layers of products you have to put on your hair. in order for it to stay in your hair. Definitely check out some of my past Chebe videos to see how I apply that traditional Chebe to my hair. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but yes, it does take a lot of time to do so. Okay, so on the other side of things, we now have the tea and oil application that I've been recently experimenting with. The huge pro for me is going to be the styling options. I have worn the tea and oil in my hair as a braid out or my hair pulled back. I can wear it in unlimited amount of styles. Not your long-term protective styles, because again, you're going to be refreshing this just as much as you would refresh the traditional Chebe powder, but your options are more available, which is good. I mean, I want to look nice when I'm leaving the house. Since I'm leaving the house more now, I don't want to have to worry about wearing dookie braids in my hair all the time and trying to make those look cute. So that is a pro for me. I don't want to always have to be limited to wearing wigs, and that is something that is definitely expanded with this new method. Going along those same lines, because I can wear my hair out in a wash and go or in a braid out, there is less mess. I don't have to worry about the powder falling out of my hair and not serving its purpose. There is less cleanup. You can apply it just like you apply any other natural hair products. And like I said before, it goes along the same lines with this last pro. It is less time consuming because we're used to applying natural hair products to our hair. This is something that's no different from any other product, any other two-step product. When you have hair like mine, using the LOC method, I'm sorry, not LOC, LCO method, because I apply the oil last to my hair. I'm used to applying multiple things to my hair: a cream, a leave-in, a cream, and then an oil. So I use that method often when I apply my natural hair products in general. So this was no different than any other application of any natural hair product. And then the final pro is going to be that smell is now diluted because you are letting it sit in water and in oil, so it's not as strong as it is when you're using the traditional Chebe application. Going right into the cons, I do feel like there was less moisture, and that's possibly because it's not in braids. So these cons are kind of, like I said, is my insight. You might have a totally different experience with this application method, but I did feel like it was less moisture. If I want the moisture to be maintained or retained in my hair, I do feel like I have to wear it in braids or in a way that is going to lock in that moisture. Now I will say, if I pull my hair back in a bun, I do retain some moisture, but it's nothing like the traditional method, and that's just because the application is totally different. And then the last con, it's still up for debate. I do feel like it's less length retention, but like I said, it's still up for debate just because there is not a controlled situation. Like, I'm eating different. I'm not eating exactly what I was eating before when I did the traditional method. I was breastfeeding at the time, so I was more health conscious. So this is something I definitely have to be more conscious about, like my eating and my vitamins, to see if it's going to help me retain the same amount of length. So that's completely up for debate. But all in all, that's pretty much a side-by-side for you. Am I going to completely give up the traditional way of application? No, because my hair really did agree with it. But for the sake of time and for the sake of ease of use, it's just more user friendly to go with this new method that I've been using, and that's why I decided to do this series for you all. So I definitely wanted to take the time to talk about this. I definitely wanted to take the time to compare both of them side by side for you all, and I hope that somebody out there does gain some insight from this video. As always, I do appreciate you all watching. Even if you're not going on this journey with me, if you're gaining anything from watching these videos, I really do like that and appreciate the watch and the views and the comments and the like, anything, okay? So as always, thank you so much for watching, and I pray you all continue to live and walk in your blessed lives. Be blessed.